page that showed an aerial view of a parade stopped mid-route. Dutch could see a marching band at the edge of the photo. Overcome with curiosity at what the photo could be of, Dutch peered at the squiggly black lines beneath the photograph. Suddenly, as if the squiggles were tiny tin soldiers marshalling themselves, the lines turned into words in his head. Ron strung the words together and said them silently. Such events as the aftermath of a bomb that had exploded in San Francisco during a parade. "What are you doing?" Dutch's father, Jack Reagan, asked. "Reading," Dutch replied. His father laughed, but his mother, Nell Reagan, rushed across the room and leaned over the newspaper. Dutch said the words aloud. "Dutch, did you just read that?" his mother asked. Dutch nodded. He guessed that he had. "I don't think so," his father interjected as he stretched his neck to look at his younger son. "The lad can't read. He's only been going to school for a few months, and those are big words." "Well, it seems to me like he can," Nell replied. "Read some more, Dutch." Dutch looked down at the newspaper, hoping that the squiggles would continue to untangle themselves for him. And they did. "And the exciting details of the 2 dead Black Tom explosion in New Jersey." "He is reading," Dutch's mother exclaimed as she stood to rush out the door. Minutes later, she reappeared in the room with several neighbors, who were also astonished at Dutch's newfound ability. "How'd he do it?" one of the neighbors asked Nell. "Those aren't words you learn in first grade." "Well, I do read to the boys every night, and I run my fingers under the words so that they can follow along. I guess Dutch just followed along more closely than I ever imagined. He must have taught himself from just watching me." In fact, that is what had happened. From that time on, Dutch was able to read the newspaper for himself, though he did not understand a lot of what he read. In 1916, many adults were finding it difficult to comprehend what was happening in the United States and the rest of the world. Germany, under the leadership of Kaiser Wilhelm, was at war with the rest of Europe, and people in the United States were divided about whether or not Americans should go to Europe's aid. This led to many violent protests, including the parade bombing in San Francisco, where a suitcase bomb had exploded during a war preparedness parade, killing 10 people. This event was the first thing Dutch had ever read about to himself. Dutch asked his father many questions about the Great War, as the war in Europe was called, and his father told him as much as he could. In April 1917, the United States declared war on Germany and entered the Great War in Europe. Soon, soldiers were being shipped out to the muddy battlefields of France to reinforce the British, the French, and their allies in the war against Germany. Dutch read about some of this in the newspaper, but he much preferred to read The Boy's Annual and adventure stories about people lost in Alaska or even about outer space. He wanted to learn all he could about the world, which was a challenge for a 5-year-old living in the western Illinois town of Galesburg. The Reagan family had moved numerous times since Dutch's birth on February 6, 1911, in Tampico, Illinois. By 1918, the family moved yet again. But this was the first move where Dutch was fully aware that he was leaving one place and starting over again somewhere different. While the city of Monmouth was only 16 miles away, the move meant a whole new life for a 6-year-old boy. Dutch had to start attending another public school and Sunday school, where he had to make new friends. Central School was an eye-opening experience for Dutch, who was shy and far ahead of his class with his reading. These two things made it hard for him to make new friends. There was one other thing that Dutch did not quite understand. Because he had an Irish surname, Reagan, and his father, Jack Reagan, spent a lot of time at the local pub, everyone assumed that Dutch was Catholic.